Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at ActionCOACH in Central Texas. Today, I am here with Jeremey Shirk, the co-owner of Conans Pizza. Very excited to be sitting down. It's always fun, for me as the host of this series to sit down with different types of businesses, being able to sit down with kind of a restaurant and kind of hear the different things that come up in that type of a business versus, a handful of the other ones that we've had conversations with. Super fun. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Jeremey, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I'm going to just hand it over to you. Why don't you share a little bit with the audience about who you are? Tell us about your business, and we'll just start with a little bit of background there, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Awesome, Tanner. Thank you for having me. So, yeah, once again, I'm Jeremey Shirk. I am co-owner of Conans Pizza South here in Austin, Texas, man. Conans Pizza South has been around since 1976, and originally it was my very first job at 15 years old. And I came back a couple years ago and bought the place before they tore it down. The original owner was going to retire and just kind of walk away quietly, and I found out through a friend of mine, and so I drove down there as fast as I could. I talked to him, and we struck a deal, and he sold me the business. And ever since then, we've just been flourishing. Um, I looked at their social before I bought the place, and they had little or no social presence. Their website was antiquated. And my background is in media and marketing and promotion. And, with that background, I've used all that experience to double my revenue. But it was a really impressive feat. In 3 weeks, I had to do all the EIN, form a partnership with my business partner, do all of this entity stuff and just all the brokerage and getting the lease. It was quite the battle. It wasn't just simple, go down and buy a restaurant. No, it was a fight.
Mm.
And
Man, you've already touched on so many things I'd love to just dive into. Because I think, for a lot of the audience, being able to just even kind of peel back went out and bought a business, a business you've worked in before, the owner was, looking to retire. There's so much to be said about that versus just going and just starting a business, which I know so many entrepreneurs out there are interested in doing. So maybe let's just kind of take a step back. Let's walk through that, and then we can kind of,
oh,
answer some
absolutely.
additional questions as we go. But so you made the choice to go buy a business. Talk a little bit more about what that process looked like. Choosing to have a business partner with you. Just let's peel that back a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, it wasn't just as simple as going in and buying a business, by all means. So I went down there. I asked if he'd sell me the business. He agreed, and then I talked to somebody and said, "You never want a restaurant alone." And so I went, sat in the parking lot for about 10 minutes, like combing through every contact I had to think of who would be the best partner for this business. And my now business partner, Rob Feeney, he had been working as a manager. He's been managing Domino's for 15 plus years. And so I called him up and asked what he was doing in his life right now. And he's like, "Not much. Why? What's going on?" And I was like, "Hey, man, I really need you to partner with me in buying Conan's Pizza." And he said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Absolutely, man." And he's like, "Okay, well, let's meet up." And so we met up and we talked things over. We scheduled one more final meeting with the original owner of Conan's, and we did it. But it wasn't even that easy. Once I put my letter of intent in to get the new lease on the property, I found out that the next door business, which is a Dairy Queen, I don't know if I could plug them. I don't want to plug them at the moment. They had already put 250,000 against my letter of intent. So I was almost doomed. I had 3 weeks to either come up with the 250,000, or I would have lost my chance at getting that new lease and keeping that business going. So my background in marketing and social, etc., I did a really good write up for Facebook because Conan's Pizza has been around for 46 years. I know this, it's absolute Austin staple restaurant. So I did a write up, I put it on Facebook, and I just asked the community for shares. I said, "Guys, this place is about to get torn down. I just need you guys to share and comment as much as you possibly can." And within a week, it had 80,000 plus shares and hundreds of thousands of comments, in which I sat down and I replied to every question, every comment, every share. I thanked people. And using that platform, I gained the lease. I gained the property owner's decision to lease to me rather than to take this big company's money and lease to them. And so it was impressive. It was very impressive. But monumental day. The day I got a call from my broker saying that we won that lease. I mean, it was just chilling to say the least, but
Oh, that's fantastic.
absolutely life changing.
Amazing. So just asking kind of some clarifying questions. When you bought the business, with your negotiations, things like that with the business owner, was that completely separate from the like securing the new lease? So were you able to basically take over the business and then have to, figure out the lease situation, or and how did those two things come together?
Okay, so we made a deal to that I would buy the business and all the equipment, everything, um, if I could gain the lease. And so it all depended on me, convincing the property owner to lease to me. And so going through all those hoops within 3 weeks, like I said, of establishing the entity and getting all my tax stuff together, getting all the funds together in one spot. So once I did gain the lease and convince all that, then I would buy the business. And so it was all just a waiting game for a very stressful waiting game at that, to see if I can get the lease. And the second I got the lease, I went down and I wrote a check, and the rest is history. And it wasn't even that easy. After that, the city came in and told me I had to do tons of renovations on the building and upgrades because that place had been grandfathered in for 46 years. Code this, code that. But thankfully, I've got a background in construction, and so I went in 60 nights straight without closing the business. I went in every night, all night long, and redid those ceilings, walls, floors, plumbing. I mean, it was a mountain of work. But then I brought that place up to code so well that the original inspector that came back to re-inspect, he was blown away by the transformation of that kitchen and just the entire restaurant. So it was a really good feeling having that guy come back and be so surprised how fast and how clean and how up to date everything was on that list. So another monumental, feat on that end. And while I was doing that, my business partner kept the business running and got, all the employees familiar with us. Obviously, we had, I think it was 17 employees starting at that time, and they didn't know who we are. We just came in and took over the business and started doing all this work and all these changes. And um, it was a fight, but it was fun.
Amazing. So taking another slight step backwards, making that choice. So I guess I got to first ask the question: is this the first business that you've owned?
It's not the first business; it's the first restaurant I've owned.
Okay.
And um, I guess a media company for a long time, freelance, I'd say. Then I got picked up by a large corporation to do graphic design and promotion. And my main skill set would be 3D design and animation and building from blueprints, etc. Um, and also generating awareness and promoting sales was always my big, strong suit. I know the power of social media, but yeah, this being a first restaurant, it was definitely a lot more, a lot more, a lot more hats than I really anticipated, but nothing out of my scope that I could not, adjust to. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. So what ultimately made you take that leap and go in and buy a business? I don't, like I said earlier, I don't know that everybody thinks about the concept of like you can actually go buy businesses. You don't always have to start them. So I'm curious, like what ultimately led you to say, you know what, this is a direction I even want to consider at this point is go and buy this business.
So that is a fantastic question. And I know that a lot of business owners and investors, et cetera, would frown upon this particular reason, but it comes down to nostalgia. Like I said earlier, Conans Pizza was my very first job ever. I hung out there for probably decades, 2 decades, just with every friend I had. And just knowing that that place has been around in Austin for so long, so many people have so many memories with that place, meeting their wife or so many people there. Just a lot of rich Austin history. And so nostalgia was really the biggest reason for me to want to keep that place going. And all in all, that place has always been my favorite pizza. Like I've been everywhere and I've never had a pizza that has even come close to, touching my pie. And so knowing that that business, it wasn't a failing business. It wasn't in trouble at all. It just needed a little bit of marketing touch to it. And so, yeah, that was pretty much my main decision was to keep that place running, because I know its value to the community,
Mm.
and these shares and comments and people pleading for that place to not go away. I knew the responsibility to keep Austin's comfort food restaurant, to keep that staple in Austin running. And that's exactly what we're doing.
That's absolutely beautiful, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having nostalgia as a reason for it. I mean, having the passion, understanding how that business can operate, and as you mentioned, being able to take it in a very short period of time and grow it a bit. So that is absolutely phenomenal. I'm curious, along your way, taking on this challenge, jumping into owning and building this business, would have been, I'd say, the most memorable. Maybe not they could be defining, they could be the biggest, however you want to define that for yourself, but kind of I tend to go most memorable roadblocks or challenges that you've had to overcome in your journey so far in owning the business.
Yeah, there's so many roadblocks and challenges. For one, I guess would be to learn everything as quick as possible about gaining a commercial property lease, getting all the ins and outs of brokerage with that, all the permits, roadblocks. Like I said, just in this last one was about bringing the place up to code and meeting the expectations of this really tough city, you call it a inspector, and then plus just keeping that business running, and then I guess one of the more impressive ones is keeping up with the sales that have just climbed considerably since the takeover. When I originally bought the business, they were grossing about 55K a month, and we almost doubled that within the first year. And then so staffing, that was a big roadblock, and having to find the right crew to be able to keep up with this, acclimating the original crew to be able to keep with those numbers because they've never seen those numbers before. That place has never done a $96,000 August before I got there. And then all of a sudden we're pushing, 110, 115 plus K months. And it's intense. It's really intense when we have, my oven can fit about 30 pies in it at a time. And it's constantly just, it's on rotation, one pie out, one pie in. It's impressive amount of pizza, to say the least. But, I've got a very well trained crew. A lot of these people have been there a really long time. I think my longest employee has been there 16 years.
Wow.
That's He's a great guy. And then just being able to retain those employees and continue them working and maintaining their jobs was a really big, deal for me. So yeah, I think, to answer your question, the biggest roadblocks would be all the learning curves, all the construction, and all the meeting the criteria to, keep operating as a successful business. So
That's beautiful. And that type of growth comes with its own challenges, right? As you started to state, from staffing to how do the systems work, to can I just effectively move things around in the kitchen for that level of volume? I'm curious, what were there like some major changes you had to make in terms of I guess maybe the question I'm trying to ask is, when you look at increasing the volume that much, was it primarily during the same kind of hours of the day and it was just more people in there, or is it spread out more where you were maybe open more days of the week or longer hours, or it was kind of spread out there? What did you notice when you essentially doubled the amount of business that was coming in?
okay, so to double the kind of business, I went back to square one with, my roots, marketing. I started hitting social real hard. I got a new website. I launched an app dedicated to my restaurant. I brought in all the third-party point of sale systems that they're using: the Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, Slice, Flip Dish, Chow Now, you name it, I'm on it. And that just started booming the place. And it hasn't been spread out. Monday, Tuesday specials really brought those slower days up to speed with, to continue pulling volume on the slower days. And Fridays are an absolute madhouse now. I mean, it's the place to be. My parking lot's filled to capacity. My restaurant's filled to capacity. We've got a line out the door, and it's so much fun to see all these people just patiently waiting to get their pie. My biggest pie is called the Savage. It takes about 25 minutes to cook. It's just a super big deep dish pizza. It's got all the meats and all the cheese, all the vegetables, and people will wait for that pie. About 2 hours wait on a Friday.
Wow. That
Yeah,
is crazy.
but
Oh,
recently brought in a champion eater to take on the Savage to see if he could finish it himself. And I actually built him a Super Savage, which was a 2 inch larger version and that weighed about 9 pounds. And he was so amazed by the flavor, the texture. I mean, it's just a delicious pie. We make everything that we have there every single day. We make dough fresh every day. We cut our vegetables every day. I mean, you can really tell the flavor and the freshness and just the texture and the quality of my food. And that plays a tremendous role. So,
that is beautiful. For those that are watching this after the fact, it's like almost around noon or lunchtime. So I'm getting really hungry just listening to the everything you're describing. It sounds absolutely amazing. But Jeremy, I want to ask you about kind of your we'll call it keys to success. The way I kind of frame this is the things that you do consistently. Now that it can be any number of things, but things that you attribute your ability to be successful in your daily life and just life overall. What would you say are your keys to success?
number one is focus. Let nothing deter you from what you need to do. Constantly keeping a checklist of things you need to do daily is absolutely imperative in such in a business where you have so many moving parts. Having a visual checklist is very important. Um, I Organization is key. Staying very social is key. Being on Facebook and being with the community. I donate a lot to all the local schools around there, so they know where their money is going. It's coming back into the community, so it's a huge part in marketing, and just ensuring that the community knows that if they shop with us, it's coming back into the community. But I'd say the biggest keys for me, like I said, make a checklist every single day of all the things you need to do, because there's an awful lot of moving parts. And I would suggest that to any potential business owner or anyone considering starting their own business, is buy the biggest notepad you got or you can find, and just start making a list every single day. And every single day you can knock out that list. And delegation, learn your strong suits and your weak suits, and learn how to delegate properly. Because I know everyone's not 100% spectrum of all the skill sets you will need to run a business, but it never hurts to sit and constantly take tutorials from like I do. I take restaurant touring tutorials still to this day. 2 years later, I'm still watching professional restaurateurs talk about how they succeeded and how they progressed and how they've learned more and more and more about all the different hats they need to wear to be successful in business. And that's crucial. Constant education. There's
Mm.
no sense of there's no too much education. I couldn't think about to verbalize it, but yeah.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. That learning is super powerful, and daily checklist, man. I'm a checklist guy, 100%. Like I'm the kind of guy that will write stuff on a checklist just to be able to cross it off. So that daily list thing is super powerful. So if you're watching this and you're taking notes, as you should be, on all these wonderful things that Jeremy's sharing with you, take note on that one. The checklist is a really powerful tool when it comes to getting things done, prioritizing things like that. So 100% aligned with that one.
It'll eliminate any kind of procrastination you may have. It'll put all your things, the most important things, visually, so you will not forget and you will not skip those things before you wrap up your day. Make that checklist. That checklist will save. I promise you that. Yeah, in the morning, first thing you do is make that checklist of what you're going to do with your day. All the meetings you scheduled, replying to emails, getting with social, ordering accounts. They're all just super important. But it'll make your life just so much easier. I know a giant checklist may overwhelm you, but having that checklist will save you in the long run.
Mm. So Jeremy, I got to ask you, now I always like to kind of move to the future. What, as you look towards, the next 5, 10 years, what's your vision? Where do you see Conan's Pizza going over the next 5 to 10 years?
Fantastic. Expansion. So at Conans Pizza's height in like the mid to late 90s, there was 6 stores here in Austin. Now we're down to 2. Now that I'm just over 2 years in, proven success, I'm looking to buy some property and build another Conans from the ground up and double the size of my current store. My current restaurant's 2,000 square feet. Designing a 4,000 square foot restaurant. So expansion. I want more stores. I want to provide this pizza to further out communities than just South Austin and Austin as a whole. I know my restaurant, its name and brand will sell just about anywhere. My recipe, the flavor of my food, my customer service, the decor, just the general feel and environment to the place, it's going to sell. It'll do well anywhere. So yes, I plan to expand hopefully within the next year and a half. And build my first restaurant from scratch. But we'll still have the Conan's name and recipe, and nothing will change. It's super important to keep it exactly the same. It is an absolute true pizzeria if you've ever been in there.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, I do want to be respectful of time here. So before I, end up on kind of my last question, I always like to round these things out on. For those that are watching, how can they find out more information? Where's the best place to go and check out Conan's Pizza? Where can they connect with you if they want to learn or see more about what you're up to?
Great question. So Conan'sPizzaAustin.com is my website. You can go there, read our story, check out our menu, just get a general run through, a nice walkthrough of our restaurant and what we have, pictures of our food will make you absolutely hungry. Straight from there, you can order online. You can download the app straight from the website. Let me see what else. Conan's Facebook, of course, Conan's Pizza South. And I have to really push, I only own the South location. There is a Conan's North. It's owned by a separate entity. They're still great guys. We still have the same exact product, but this is specifically pointed at my restaurant. But they, like I said, they do have the same thing. It's just their website's different, their social is different, etc. Also, of course, our Conan's Pizza South Instagram. I post as much as I can, daily, pictures of our food. We have calzones, deep dish pizzas are, what put us on the map. It's Austin's first deep dish pizza. And we have not changed ever since. We have calzones, some of the best salads. It's just, our menu is super extensive. I have gluten-free and vegan options. Something for everybody. Something for everybody.
Amazing. Jeremey, thank you. So as we wrap up here, what is most inspiring to you today?
So what's most inspiring is when a longtime customer comes in and tells me their story about their history with Conan's, because there's so many. They come in and they thank me because they know that my restaurant was going to close down, and they know what I had to go through to save this spot. And to hear so many people with so much rich history with my restaurant, like I said earlier, they've met their wife here, they hung out here growing up, or it was their first job. To hear those stories and to see people sitting down in the restaurant enjoying the same exact pizza that they've had for years, or to see a new face in there trying that pizza for the first time because they heard about it and they saw the reviews and they come to check out the spot. It was something that I never anticipated. Watching somebody eat and getting that warm feeling throughout your body is just something I never anticipated. But that is probably one of the most inspiring things, just seeing people enjoying the food. I know it's so fundamental, but it's inspiring. Having families sitting down in their restaurant, enjoying birthday parties and whatever they're celebrating at my spot, it's super inspiring.
Well, Jeremey, your passion exudes out in your conversation here today, and I just absolutely love it and appreciate you sharing it with us here today. From the bottom of my heart, really thank you for investing the time to sit down with me to share your story, to share these things with our audience, to tell us a little bit more about the business. It's been a true pleasure to be sitting here with you today. Thank you.
I appreciate you. I really do.